Hello everyone, my name is Cap and welcome back to the channel. Another 7 Days to Die video. Doing all this in Alpha 16.4 on the PC, so this will translate over to consoles. This is a follow-up to the player fall damage. You guys had enough suggestions that I thought a follow-up video would be in order. And one of the first things somebody wanted me to test out was a couple different variations of what I was doing here. So right now I'm at 7 blocks up here. We know from 7 blocks up you take damage if you just walk off. Did this plenty of testing last time, I'm not going to do it again so I don't have to heal. But one of the things somebody wanted to know was, what if you go prone? What if you're basically just like crouched down and you're barely even moving here? Will that actually change any of it? So we're going to test it out and see if you take any additional damage if you're crouching and walking along here. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so you still take 8 damage from that high up, even if you're walking and or crouching. And another variant that somebody wanted me to test was if you take more damage if you try and run off. Of course, if you jump off of it, it's going to take more damage because you're elevating yourself to a higher block than the one you're standing on, so it's going to take higher damage, of course. But I didn't try it while doing running. So walking off, which is what I did every time last video to maintain consistency. Let's see what happens if you just run straight off, no jumping here. See if that changes it at all here. Okay, alright, so I took 8 damage and I got the sprain on here, which is pretty typical from 7 blocks up. So even though I cleared a lot more distance, I still had the same amount of damage taken from running as I did walking. I didn't think that would change any of the damage rating, but I had a few people ask, and well, you know, if you guys ask, I'm definitely going to test it. So, onward and upward. An additional test I was asked to look at was for whether or not armor will reduce the amount of damage you can take. In the original test, you can see over here, I'm wearing a shirt, gloves, shoes, and my hat, and that's it. And the reason why I'm not wearing any armor at all in the original testing is I wanted to give a good baseline. So you could see how much damage you would take at the maximum without any other buffs, and I also don't have any skills or perks set up on this character. It's just the baseline, that way the damage I take, which I'm taking 8 at this height, is the most you'll take without adding anything to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some scrap leg armor on, and I'm going to put some scrap boots on to see if that will change how much damage I can take. Now, I don't think adding upper body armor will actually do anything, but I will test a full suit of armor after this just to check out, but just buffing your legs up a little bit to see if that does anything different here. So we're going to do just walk off, regular dirt, see if we can take the same amount of damage. Here we go. Okay, and that one we ended up taking about 6 damage. So it looked like the leg armor and the boots reduced it by about 2 on there. So what we'll do is I will suit up an entire suit of armor with the scrap iron armor and test it out here. Now, of course, different levels of armor are going to provide different levels of protection, and I don't want to test every single one of them there. I'm willing to bet the higher level the armor there is, the more protection it's going to provide. I was just testing whether or not armor will actually change it or not. Alright, so we've got a full set of scrap iron armor. We got boots, we got legs, gloves, and chest, and I put some just regular blue jeans on, a t-shirt, and my jacket, and of course my hard hat. See if having a full suit of armor does anything different than just having the legs on there. Took 6 with just the leg armor and the boots on. Let's see what happens with a full set of armor here. I took 6 again. Okay, so at least in small scale falling damage here, a full suit of armor isn't going to protect you any more than just having the legs and the boots on there. So, scaling it up, of course, if you go to the steel armor and the heavier sets of armor there, it may protect a little bit more, but having armor on does protect you a little bit more from fall damage. Okay, moving on. Okay, the next thing that I was asked to test is whether or not you took the same amount of damage on sand. In the original video, I did do testing on different kinds of grounds. I did concrete and wood and the pavement that you would find on the streets, and it was all pretty much universal. But a few people asked about sand, thinking maybe it's a little bit softer and it wouldn't cause them any problems. So, I'm 7 blocks up over in the desert, directly above some sand. We're going to try it out and see if I take the same amount of damage or not here. Okay, I took the exact same amount of damage as I did on everything else. So, having sand under you is not going to save you any more than any other blocks. But it was a good suggestion. And the last bit of test that people wanted me to try out was, what about falling into water? Now, I've done some falling into water in like deep lakes, but people are kind of curious as to what happens if you fall into just a regular water source that you would make. You know, 1 block deep, 2 blocks, 3 blocks. You know, how high or how deep does it need to be before you can take a fall without really hurting yourself? So, I'm 7 blocks above the water right here. This is 6 blocks stacked up on a tower, and I just made just 1 water source at the bottom. We'll follow it, see how much damage I take, and then we'll increase the amount of water and see how high we have to go before we can fall in it without hurting ourselves. So here we go. 7 blocks up, 1 water source. Okay, so having 1 layer of water, which is ankle deep. I mean, you can't see your feet, of course, right here, but it's ankle deep. So I didn't figure that was actually going to work very well, but I wanted to at least start off at the beginning. So get this reset, build it up a little bit higher, and see what happens next. Okay, we are 2 water blocks deep in here now, so it's about waist deep, where I added 1 more level of blocks up on the tower I'm standing on here, so we'll fall off and see if we take any more damage with this than we did last time. Fall into it, and actually took a decent, quite a bit more damage than we did last time here. We took, what, almost 20 damage falling into this amount of water. Huh, I need to try that again, because that is a little bit of an interesting result. You would think falling in a little bit deeper water wouldn't hurt you as much here. Okay, so I did one thing different here. I tried this out. I healed myself, but what I did was I removed 1 set of blocks here, because I'm wondering if the last one, it saw me as being 8 blocks up, and we saw in the original testing that 8 blocks does more damage than 7. So even though I was 7 blocks above the top of the water, I was 8 blocks above what it considers the ground. So let's try it again at 7 blocks above the ground with waist deep water and see if we get the same results. Okay, so that was a little bit more aligned to what it was. Okay, so that was what the original test was showing differently, is that I had too many blocks up here. I thought maybe if I kept going up 1 higher for each of the amount of water I was adding, it would keep the same amount of height difference between the top of the water, but it needs to go from the ground up. So we'll get this up a little bit higher and see what we can do next. Okay, so we're the same height up as we were, just on top of the original 7 blocks, but now the water is deep enough that I can completely submerge myself underwater and drown. So let's see if having that will change how much damage I take in here, because I shouldn't be able to hit the bottom of it from here. This is basically 3 water blocks deep. So let's give this a try. Okay. So I took 0 damage at all, and even though it's only 3 blocks deep, it looks like it's an Olympic-sized swimming pool here because the block actually starts here. But it is deep enough at 3 blocks that I wasn't taking any damage from at this height now. So we know 3 blocks worth of water, 3 blocks deep worth of water is enough to stop you from taking damage from a normal fall. But let's bump it up a little bit and see if it helps from much higher up. Okay, so we are at double the height up here. We are 15 blocks above the ground. That's from the very bottom down there. Same amount of water, so we'll see if we still can take this kind of fall in 3 blocks deep of water without taking any damage here. So here we go. Okay, so 3 blocks of damage was plenty of cushion from 15 blocks up here. So we're going to try something a little bit on the ludicrous side of things, just to see if there is a limit here. So we're going to fast forward all the way up here. We're about 370 blocks up off the ground. This is higher than you can even build. You can literally see the entire map and even the parts that aren't rendering in. We're right above the pool, so we're going to free fall into it and see if 3 blocks of water is plenty to be able to stop you. So here we go. This is plenty of height up here. I mean, this is well over 1,000 feet. So at this height, I should be able to reach terminal velocity in real life and see. Okay. Wasted. Alright, well, it is very clear that from that height up at least, that 3 blocks isn't enough to be able to save you, so it's not completely impervious here. But I know people will want better results as far as like how high you can go here, so we'll do a couple different tests, and I'll let you know what height I finally start taking damage into this and show it to you. Alright, had an interesting result here. As you can see on the map, right now I'm 35 blocks up, and if I fall off just directly into the water, I don't take any damage at all. If I go up to 36 blocks and do the same thing, then I take a substantial amount of damage, almost 90 damage, and I broke my leg. So at 3 water blocks deep worth of a water source there to land in, it looks like 35 blocks is the highest I could go without taking any damage. And I did it multiple times without taking any damage. So I don't know exactly how to calculate that result here. 35 blocks up, I fell into it multiple times, took 0 damage. 36 blocks up, I took more than half my life basically and broke my leg. There wasn't a minor damage beforehand and a sprain, it was from nothing to a break. So I'm wondering if we can take a fall into the actual lake itself, because the lakes usually are a lot deeper here. They are much deeper than just the normal 3-4 water blocks we have here. So let's try this from about, a normal height. Let's try 65 blocks up and see if we die, it's okay. We're 65 blocks up. That's some pretty deep water. We should be okay. We'll see. Nope. Okay, so they have a limit as to how much water you can fall into. And realistically, just like in real life, if you fall into water from that high up, it's like hitting concrete, and I guess that translates over into the water as well. I know for a fact that at one point it wasn't that way. I did a video a while ago, I don't even know how many years ago it was now, and it was the highest high dive that you could possibly make. I stacked it all the way up as high as it would let me build, dove off into the lake, and didn't take an ounce of damage. So at one point in an earlier version of this game, you could drop into the water from extremely high heights and not take any damage, but that doesn't seem to be the case now. So I mean, I fell, let me see, right into here. That's a decent number of blocks straight up. I'll see how many it is when I get my frames back here real quick, and to see how high this was up, because I was 65 blocks up. So let's see, I died right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, 4, 5. So is that above the water? It's about, I would say I'll call that 4 blocks. So that's not even as deep as it should possibly get here. So 4 blocks is only 1 deeper than what I was already over there. Let's see if I can find a much deeper spot here. This looks like a little bit deeper. Let's find a deeper spot. Alright, so we found a deeper lake. This is one of the deeper ones in the area here. I stacked blocks all the way down here, so this is actually 15 blocks up from the very bottom here. So we'll fly up a little ways and see if we can take some drops into 15 blocks deep of water in case you plan on trying to make a water landing this big. Let's see, let's go up. We took some damage at 65 last time, so we'll start off at 85. Scooch over just a smidge so I don't hit that. And let's begin our free fall and see what happens. See if it is actually just the surface of the water. Nope, took no damage at all. So maybe it does have to do with the actual depth that you're falling into here. So let's go up a little bit higher. Now, I don't know the highest high dive that's ever been recorded in real life. Let me see, that's 78. Let's go up to 116 sounds good. But I know for a fact that if you jumped 100 meters above the water and hit it, that it would be like hitting sand or concrete, and it would probably break something if it didn't kill you. So 15 blocks deep, I'm able to go up pretty high, but let's take this to ludicrous heights. Okay, this should do. We are about 1,100 meters off the ground. This is relatively a little bit more than a half a mile. So, I mean, this would definitely kill anybody, but let's just give it a free fall here, right into the lake, and see what happens. Now, realistically, it should kill me, but we'll see if 15 blocks is enough to actually stop me from hitting the bottom and taking any kind of damage. So we'll see what happens. Nope. So even the deepest lake in the area has its limits, of course. But then again, you can't build higher than about 190 to 200 blocks, depending on where you are now anyway. So chances are you're not going to be jumping from more than half a mile into the atmosphere into the water. So, for everybody out there who's kind of curious about some additional fall damage testing, hopefully this was beneficial to you and at least slightly entertaining. Of course, if you have any other ones you want me to test out that I may have missed out on, do drop it in the comment section down below, and we'll see if maybe there bears needing a third one here to test out some stuff, but I don't think so. Anyway, thank you guys so much for all the suggestions and all the support and the love on the channel. Truly do appreciate it. And if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and leave a thumbs up on there. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, so you don't miss on future videos. Thank you guys so much for your time. You have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.